Okay, so I need to admit something to you guys. When this week's episode of SmackDown started, I was asleep. That's kind of what watching the Eternals would do to you. And had I known the trash I was going to see in the first hour of SmackDown, I most likely would have continued sleeping, but we'll talk about it. Hey guys, welcome to DMK Wrestling with me, Darkman Papu. Today we're looking at the pros and cons for WWE SmackDown January 14th edition. I will tell you there was some stuff that was really stupid, and then there were some things that were really eye-opening, but we'll talk about it right now. So SmackDown started with the Usos this week talking about how they were so happy they got through the New Day, but how they had so much respect for the New Day and how they had challengers lining up waiting to take their titles from them. So then they proceed to do these funny ring introductions for Los Lotharios, the weird team of Cesaro and Mansoor. Cesaro was teaming actively with Ricochet for the last few weeks. WWE is really doing some weird stuff here. And then the team of Shanky and Jinder Mahal and the Viking Raiders. Now these four teams were set to compete in a fatal four-way match to determine who will be the #1 contenders to the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. And the Usos took a cheap shot, and then on cue, no one seems to come after them and everybody starts fighting everybody. And I'll be honest, this was a cool match. This is where I kind of started to wake up. So I will give this a pro. My favorite spot of the match was where Cesaro just starts going crazy, and it was similar to something he did, I believe, in 2016 or so, where he was teaming with Sheamus and he just goes berserk all over the ring. It's the craziest thing I've ever seen from Cesaro. I don't know how that man hasn't had a world title run yet in WWE. Keep my fingers crossed that happens. Besides that, the Viking Raiders won this match, and so I kind of feel like a time traveler because a few weeks ago, in last week's episode of Pros and Cons, I did say that I kind of remembered that the Viking Raiders had earned some sort of opportunity to face the Usos for the titles. I feel like this was coming true. I don't know, it was deja vu, I don't know what to call it, but either way, Viking Raiders Usos is coming at some point. This match was good, and that's why I get a pro. And then WWE did something repetitive. They practically rerun the whole script from Naomi and Sonya Deville. Now it does make sense that Naomi would want some sort of explanation or retribution for what Sonya Deville did to her on last week's episode, but this really could have been handled in one whole segment, because there was one segment where Naomi confronts Sonya Deville, the thermostat stops working, Naomi comes back about to beat Sonya Deville, Adam Pearce steps in, and they pretty much make sure that Naomi has a match against Charlotte Flair next week, a title contenders match, or that's what they call it these days. So I don't know, I feel like this could have been done in one segment. I'm really not going to grade this, but this is very much skippable. And then we had the first episode of Sami Zayn's new talk show or stunt show. I don't know what it's called, but it was called In-Zayn. And yes, this was to further the whole Johnny Knoxville stuff from last week. So he was practically going to challenge him, where he was going to sit in, of all things, a shopping trolley. So he was going to be pushed, he was going to go across this ramp, go up into the air, possibly soaring over the ring and hitting this mat on the other side. And look, Sami was actually quite entertaining with this segment. He was teasing going to be pushed, and then he begged them not to push him again. He gets out, talking about his conspiracy theory, whatnot, gets into the ring, and then out of nowhere, Rick Boogs comes up on the ring apron while Shinsuke Nakamura is actually behind Sami Zayn, ready to give him a Kinshasa, and that kind of happens. But then Rick Boogs also presses him over his head. Rick Boogs is a very strong man, and throws Sami onto the outside, onto the mats that were set up on the other side of the ring. So I don't know, I feel this was a throwaway segment. I don't know, they actually advertised Johnny Knoxville on one of the posters, and then he never showed up. But I'm sorry, I'm going to have to give this a con because this just didn't work too well for me. And then WWE did more stupid stuff on the first hour. So Aaliyah was set to make her debut on SmackDown. It's kind of crazy that she was actually put on the main roster about 3 months ago, and she was going to be taking on the self-proclaimed BOAT, Natalya. Why would you call yourself a BOAT? And Natalya seems to have a new gimmick where she's actually trying to break world records. Now, for those of you that don't know, Natalya actually holds about 3 Guinness World Records for being the woman with the most matches in WWE, the most wins by woman in WWE, and I think there's something else which I don't remember. The point is, she was going for another record. She was trying to set the fastest time for a match in WWE. Seeing that her opponent was Aaliyah, I think she thought she was going to have a a pass with her. And so when she got into the ring after holding up the Guinness World Records all the way on the entrance ramp, this gimmick is kind of weird. She gets in, she attacks Aaliyah before the bell, and Aaliyah almost has to forfeit the match, but Aaliyah says she can go. The match starts and literally Aaliyah hits Natalya into borrow from Simon Miller with the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll up, and she gets the 1, 2, 3. And there you have it. Aaliyah has the new WWE record for the fastest time of pinning somebody at 3.17 seconds. If you actually think about it, it may be a lot faster than that. So yes, whilst I'm happy for the fact that Aaliyah has set this new record, this was very much throwaway. I don't know why they're doing this to Natalya. I want to think she's having fun. I have so much love for Natalya, but I don't know. I feel like these are the kind of gimmicks that literally elicits no reaction. I mean, 10 years ago was a very different landscape, so I'm going to have to give this a call as well. And then this is the part where I should have woken up, because Lita returned to SmackDown. Now, it was being said that this was the first time in about 20 years that she was returning, which if you think about is really crazy considering for most of her WWE run she was actually on Raw in the last 4 years or so. So this was very, very interesting. I think this whole segment was fine, especially when Charlotte Flair got in the mix and they have this banter and eventually Lita hits her with a twist of fate. I don't know, I feel like I would have appreciated Lita in the Royal Rumble, seeing her for the first time at the Rumble, but I guess they might be looking at doing some sort of program between Charlotte and Lita in the distant future. But I will say this was fun, this was entertaining, it was great to see Lita back. The woman literally doesn't age. So yes, I will give this a pro rating. However, I would have appreciated that return at the Rumble. And then WWE somewhat had an explanation that wasn't really an explanation because it wasn't verbally expressed. But we had a match between Sheamus and Ricochet. And before this match, a package rolls where Ricochet is talking about how he was going to break Sheamus's face and how he owned the fact that he accidentally broke Rich Holland's nose. So I guess Ricochet is slightly turning heel. I don't know what's going to go on with that. But anyway, the match was great. I enjoyed it. Finished perfect. I will give this a pro. I will say this, however. I don't like Ricochet's new music. I don't know what it is that's going on. And I won't lie, long before this match was over, I kind of made my mind up as to giving this a pro rating because the action was just so good. They gave them time to work. And the ending is something you really should go see because it reminded me of that WrestleMania 37 match between Matt Riddle and Sheamus for the US Championship, where Matt Riddle does the whole flippy thing. No, it's called a moonsault, and Sheamus just boots him and actually kind of hurts him in the teeth or something. That actually was an injury. But there was one spot in this match, and I'm going to say this right now. Ricochet has Sheamus balancing on the second rope from outside the ring into the ring, and he does this moonsault, this springboard moonsault, and Pat McAfee calls it a lion salt. Now, we have heard rumors of WWE trying this forbidden door thing where they might bring a star from another wrestling promotion to come into the Royal Rumble, as they've done with Mickie James. And I think that might be Chris Jericho. I don't know why, but let's just take this as an Easter egg, and you know, if it doesn't happen, don't blame me for it, but that's what I think may happen. And then we're about to have a match where Sir Kofi Kingston, I actually called him Sir, was going to take on Madcap Moss in a singles match. Now, Kofi came out and addressed the WWE Universe and let them know that yes, it is true. In fact, Xavier Woods has suffered King Xavier has suffered a calf injury, and so he will not be in the Royal Rumble match, but he will be, since there is royal representation needed as decreed by the king. So I just want to say I'm very happy that Kofi Kingston is going to be in this Royal Rumble match. This will be his 14th Royal Rumble match. He is the second placeholder for most Royal Rumble match appearances, the other person being Kane, who has 17. And this match between Madcap Moss and Sir Kofi was really good. I will not lie, it's sort of hard to believe that Kofi is in his 40s, but Ghanaian blood is strong stuff. I assure you, I am one. So I will give this a pro. We then had a long anticipated segment between the Universal Champion, the head of the table, the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, going up against Seth freaking Rollins. I really hate the fact that they've added freaking to his name permanently. And throughout the course of the night, they kept running these promo packages of brother versus brother, from their days in the Shield to the betrayal of Seth, to their WrestleMania encounter with Brock Lesnar, the heist of the century stuff. It was some really good build up towards that moment in the night. And as soon as Roman comes in, Seth tries to do the whole fist shield bump for old time's sake. Roman says that is beneath him now, which was spicy. So Seth freaking Rollins rubs in the fact that Roman Reigns has never been able to beat him in one-on-one competition, It's kind of crazy to think about that Roman Reigns couldn't beat Seth Rollins at any point in time. And Seth was also trying to establish the point that literally every single time Roman Reigns has had some sort of help. Now, I do remember a match between he and Cesaro at WrestleMania Backlash. I don't know why they called it WrestleMania Backlash, where Roman Reigns literally pinned Cesaro, or he submitted him clean. I think he submitted him clean, but there was no help even though Jey Uso had offered to help him. So Roman Reigns at that point was like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to end this right here, right now. Dresses down Seth, telling him he looks like a clown, then says that if he wanted a main event caliber match, he wouldn't pick him out of his household. And I think that left one of two options. But of course, he wasn't going to fight a baby. Because in the next line, Roman Reigns said if he wanted to fight anyone main event caliber, he would fight his wife. Seth didn't really take too well to this, but he kept quiet. The Usos tried to jump Seth Rollins from behind. Seth escaped. Then he threw Jimmy Uso through the stairs. I mean, into the stairs, not through the stairs. That would be some shapeshifter stuff. Then he got back into the ring and then escaped. So this kind of proved the point that Seth was making, that indeed Roman Reigns has always had some sort of help. I really want to see where this feud goes. Either way, this week's SmackDown was, I won't lie, that first half of the show, absolute trash in some respects. The second half of the show kind of made up for it. And I think you should watch the second half of the show more than the first half of the show. So I will give this, and I will give this an overall pro, I will give this show a pro rating. Alright, so if you have seen this week's episode of SmackDown, let me know what you think. Let me know what your favorite part of the show was. Leave a comment below, like this video, share it, subscribe to this channel, then subscribe to my main channel, Darkman Papu, where I have most of the contemporary stuff that you might like. I will see you guys in another video. I will see that. Yeah, I've already said I'll see you. Okay, bye. Love it, man.